Hi, I'm John Ganatis from creditcardinsider.com, and today's question is, what is a credit card? Good question. I could probably talk about this for days, so what I'm going to do in this video is discuss a few of the key concepts, and then I'll link to some other videos and articles so that you can learn more about specific topics at your own pace. So, one thing that credit cards are is a convenient way to pay for things. So, instead of carrying around stacks of cash or stopping at the ATM all the time or writing checks out of a checkbook like people used to do, I can carry around this plastic or metal card that has some information on it, and when I want to buy something, I transmit that information to a merchant. That merchant talks to my bank and my bank pays the merchant back, and then hopefully in the future I pay the bank back. So the bank is taking a financial risk in that situation because I might not pay the bank back. And so that takes me to a second thing that credit cards are, which is an instant loan. Now, I'm going to give a quick example from before the time of credit cards. Let's say I have a roofing company, and I know that in the upcoming year, there are already lots of people on the books who have appointments to get a new roof. But I don't have enough money in my bank account right now to buy all the shingles and other supplies that I need to install those roofs. I know that once I finish installing the roofs and get paid by all those people, I'll have more than enough money to pay for all the supplies, but I don't right now. So I go talk to my banker, and he says to me, here's this special checkbook. Whenever you need to buy supplies, just write a check out of this checkbook. You don't need to call us first. We'll just front the money to that vendor, and then you can pay us back once you've been paid for installing all these roofs. So that's an example of a business line of credit, and a credit card is very similar. It's just a different form. And instead of being for just businesses, pretty much any general consumer can get a credit card. Now, this whole concept of buying something now and paying for it later is exactly where a lot of people get into trouble with credit cards. Now, let me give another example. Let's say I spend $1,000 on this credit card over the course of a month. The next month, I will get a bill in the mail and it will say, hey, you owe us $1,000. It'll also have a minimum amount that I can pay on there. Let's say in this example, that's $50. Now, the smart thing to do in this situation is to pay the $1,000 that I owe right away, all at once, when it's due. And then I got the convenience of using the card. I got that little bit of a grace period where I didn't have to pay any interest for that $1,000 loan, basically. And I might have also got some extra points or benefits by using that credit card. Now, on the other hand, let's say I only pay back $500 of that $1,000 when the bill comes. Now, the remaining $500 is going to roll over into the next month, and the bank is going to charge me interest on that. So instead of owing $500, now I'm going to owe something more than $500. And let's say I continue to use the card over the course of that next month. Now I'm adding those additional charges on top of that $500 plus. And if I can't pay all of that off in full, it's going to continue rolling over into the next month. And before I know it, it can snowball into this giant pile of debt where I'm paying interest on interest and I'm not paying that whole debt down very quickly. Now, this is a situation that's very easy to get into with credit cards, so what I recommend is that if you do get a credit card, make sure that you only charge to the credit card what you know you can pay off in full on time when the bill comes. Now, credit cards are usually unsecured debt. So let me give an example of what secured debt is. Let's say you want to borrow $20 from me, and I say, okay, I'll loan you $20, but give me your left shoe. And then when you pay the $20 back to me, I'll give you your left shoe back so that you have two shoes again. This is collateral. That shoe is collateral. I'm taking that collateral to secure the loan so that if you don't pay back the loan, I'm going to keep your shoe. And this is exactly what happens with home loans, mortgages. So if I want to buy a house and I get a mortgage through a bank and then I stop paying my mortgage, the bank is going to keep my house. Now, most of the time, credit cards are unsecured. However, if you have bad credit, a bank may only be willing to issue you a secured credit card. That's where you put up a deposit and then you get a credit limit for that deposit. And then let's say you default on that credit card, well, the bank is just going to keep that deposit that you gave them. However, if you use the card responsibly and eventually you can get an unsecured credit card, then you'll get that deposit back. Now, another important thing to mention is, why would a bank ever just give you this tens of thousands of dollars potentially line of credit if there's nothing securing it, if they're not getting any collateral for it? And the way that they decide to do that or not is your credit history. Now, sometimes your credit history is referred to just as your credit, but it's very different from your actual credit cards. So they work together very closely. So let's say you get a credit card and then you're paying it on time every month, then that's going to be reported to the credit bureaus that keep track of your credit history. On the other hand, let's say you miss a lot of payments and you even default on a whole credit card. That's going to be reported to the credit reporting agencies. And so then whenever you go to open a new credit card, the bank that you are trying to open a credit card with is going to look at your credit history and decide if you are likely to pay back a loan or not, and then make the decision based on that. So even though there's nothing securing the loan, the bank has this credit history to look at to decide whether you are likely to pay back the loan or not, and then they can make their decision based on that. Now, one other thing I want to mention is debit cards versus credit cards. They may look very similar, but credit cards are very different. Debit cards do not have nearly as many consumer protections, and they generally don't have the same types of benefits that you get when you make a purchase on a credit card. Also, a debit card does not give you an instant loan the way that a credit card does. Usually that money goes right out of your checking account. And the other very important thing to say about debit cards is that no matter how you use a debit card, that use, no matter how responsible or irresponsible it is, doesn't get reported to the credit reporting bureaus. So they don't know how you're using your debit card the way that they do know if you're using a credit card, and that responsible use of a credit card can actually help you get credit cards or other types of loans or even car insurance and things like that in the future, while a debit card does not help you with any building of your credit. One last thing I want to mention is credit cards versus charge cards. You may have heard those used interchangeably. A charge card is very much like a credit card in that you can charge money to it over the course of a month and then you get a bill in the mail the next month. But unlike a credit card, with a charge card, you usually have to pay that entire amount every month. You don't get to roll over the balance into the next month if you can't pay it off and get charged interest like you usually can with a credit card. So I hope that this video has helped you learn a lot more about what a credit card is and what a credit card isn't. If there were any questions you have about credit cards that were not answered in this video, leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, if you have any credit questions, head over to creditcardinsider.com and hit the Ask button in the top right corner of the page. We answer a new credit question every Thursday on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe and send in your own questions because maybe we'll answer your question one day. Thanks for watching. I'm John Ganatis from creditcardinsider.com. Have a great day.